How does this image make you feel? Uneasy? Comfortable? Maybe nostalgic, as if you've seen it before but aren't sure where. This is an image of the Backrooms, and if you spend any amount of time on the internet, you've probably seen it somewhere online. What started as a simple image of an uncanny yellow hallway posted to 4chan would eventually become the face of modern internet horror, inspiring countless creators, series, games, and projects. And it even helped modernize an old subgenre of internet horror, all within the past 6 years. But over time, the Backrooms became an overcomplicated mess of its former self, losing sight of what made it special in the first place, and eventually turning into another piece of generic horror slop, while leaving its community divided over what counted as its true version. This is the rise and fall of the Backrooms. On May 12, 2019, an anonymous user created a thread on 4chan's X board asking users to post disquieting images that just feel off, accompanied by this image of an empty yellow hallway. The following day, another user would add a caption to the image saying, "If you're not careful and you no clip out reality in the wrong areas, you'll end up in the Backrooms, where there's nothing but the stink of old moist carpet, the madness of mono yellow, the endless background noise of fluorescent lights at maximum hum buzz, and approximately 600 million square miles of randomly segmented empty rooms to be trapped in. God save you if you hear something wandering around nearby, because it sure as hell has heard you." The picture had been circulating on image boards as early as 2011, but this thread would serve as the origin for what is now known as the Backrooms. The thread would quickly gain traction, spreading as a creepypasta and meme, and eventually making its way onto Reddit, and over the following days, the image would start to get popular and have a whole community form around it, with an official Backrooms subreddit being created just 5 days after the original 4chan thread. And while the Backrooms just seemed like another generic creepypasta, there was something about it that would capture people's attention and help it gain the popularity that it did. The Backrooms image is what's known as a liminal space. Liminal spaces are empty or abandoned places that often give off an eerie and surreal feeling. They tap into what's known as the uncanny valley, the effect where something looks familiar but is ever so slightly off. And in the case of liminal spaces, they look like places we've all seen before, like a mall or a classroom, but our brains are so used to seeing them a certain way that when they don't meet these expectations, they start to become uncanny to look at. The Backrooms image would increase the popularity of liminal spaces online, with multiple people, including myself, becoming fascinated with the concept of these transitional areas seemingly untouched by human life. Many found a strange sense of comfort and nostalgia in the image, others latched onto the eerie and uncanny feeling of the Backrooms, and users began to get creative, eventually developing the Backrooms into a new piece of internet horror. As the Backrooms creepypasta continued to spread and gain popularity, people will start to expand upon the original image and caption, creating an entire universe behind the Backrooms. Users created new locations called levels and different entities that would populate them, using other liminal space images as inspiration. Some of the most well-known levels that would be created are Level 0, also known as the Lobby. It's the first level that you'll end up when you enter the Backrooms and resembles the backroom of a dated retail outlet or empty office space, and is based off the original 4chan image. Level 1, Parking Zone, is a more industrial level resembling an empty parking garage, while Level 2, Pipe Dreams, is a network of unlit service tunnels and maintenance shafts. These 3 levels are part of what's known as the Main 9, which are levels 0 through 8 of the Backrooms. They were the first levels ever created and would serve as the foundation for future levels. A lot of the terminology used when discussing the Backrooms comes from video game concept and terms. The term no clipping, for example, describes when a player passes through the bounds of a game's world, and often discovers areas the developer didn't intend for them to find, which can often feel eerie or surreal. I'm sure we all at least have one memory of accidentally discovering one of these areas while playing our favorite game at some point, with the Backrooms capturing this exact feeling and concept. While the Backrooms were popular and had been talked about before by creators Brokely and Nick Crowley, which is actually how I was introduced to them, it was still only a small part of a horror community online, mostly relegated to the Backrooms subreddit and wiki. The Backrooms hadn't yet reached the mainstream audience, but that would quickly change due to one creator's video. On January 7th, 2022, a then 16-year-old Kane Parson, better known as Kane Pixels, would upload a video to YouTube titled "The Backrooms Found Footage." The video showed a first-person POV of a cameraman slipping out of reality and entering the Backrooms. He would then try to find his way out while avoiding an entity later known in Kane's series as bacteria. Kane Pixels would explain that the idea for the Backrooms series came after stumbling upon the original Backrooms image and his fascination with environmental horror.
I was between projects at the time. I had been doing these Attack on Titan historical footage videos for like the past year, most of 2021. But I did those for a while. I sort of exhausted that convention and was just looking for things to do. I was doing little tests here and there, just sort of stumbling around till I found something, and I came across, it was a really simple beginning, really. I just came across one of the Backrooms images again. I thought it was neat because I love environmental horror. I'm very obsessed with the look and feel of spaces, especially hostile spaces, just ones that feel like they don't really make sense.
His series is a part of a subgenre of horror called analog horror, which takes inspiration from 20th century television and found footage. And while The Backrooms isn't the first analog horror series, with others like Local 58 and Marble Hornets predating it, it definitely helps solidify the genre within the mainstream and give rise to a new wave of analog horror and found footage series. Kane's video still holds up extremely well and perfectly captures the uncanniness of the original image. It's also really good quality for its time, especially for something made by a 16-year-old kid. I mean, it's better than what I was doing at 16, so maybe I'm doing something wrong, I don't know. And it would be the high quality production and the uncanny vibe that would help the video get as popular as it did, with it currently sitting over 69 million views. Just looking at the Google Trends graph, you can see that searches for the Backrooms peaked around April of 2022, 4 months after Kane Pixels' initial video, with this iteration becoming the most popular version of the Backrooms. Over the course of the year, the Backrooms would become a phenomenon. If you were actively on the horror side of the internet like me during this time, the Backrooms were unavoidable on YouTube and TikTok. Videos analyzing Kane's series, discussing Backrooms lore, or poking fun at their trend were being pumped out almost daily. And with big creators such as MatPat, Wendigoon, Korea's Kenshin, and Smosh sharing the Backrooms with their audiences, it only helped to make it even bigger. Other analog horror series involving the Backrooms would start to emerge, such as No Escape by YouTuber Complex Research, or the Backrooms found footage videos by YouTuber Backrooms Series, both of which would take inspiration from Kane's work. Outside of videos, games like Escape the Backrooms and the Backrooms 1998 would start to explode in popularity, with YouTubers such as Jacksepticeye, Dashy Games, and Moist Critical playing them and help expose the Backrooms to an even wider audience. Backrooms content would even start to appear on games like Roblox and Fortnite. I actually remember playing one of the Backrooms games on Roblox with my friends, and it fucking sucked. It was really bad. Kane Pixels' video had created a ripple effect for Backrooms content, with multiple creators wanting to hop on the wave before it died out, but there was one problem. Most of them just didn't care. The Backrooms had become so popular to the point where people who weren't familiar with the Backrooms outside of Kane's video wanted to try and take advantage of its popularity, subsequently transforming it into something unrecognizable. By the end of 2022, the Backrooms had gone fully mainstream, evolving past a niche horror community, with the demand for Backrooms related content increasing. While there were many videos that respected the Backrooms and tried to evolve it, there were just as many that only used it as a quick cash grab. YouTubers whose videos mostly targeted a kid audience quickly latched onto the Backrooms and began to produce hundreds of videos centered around it, whether they were Let's Plays, animations, or their own Backrooms series. Even other popular kid IPs such as Poppy Playtime, FNAF, and Sonic would get attached to it, drawing in even more young viewers. And with Backrooms content appearing on games like Roblox and Fortnite, whose player base is mostly young children, it gave these channels even more of a reason to make Backrooms videos, creating this seemingly never-ending cycle of Backrooms kids content. Not that I really blame these creators, as a lot of social media is used by a younger demographic, and the way to stay relevant online is by following trends. Even Kane Pixels would agree that the Backrooms audience had shifted more towards kids.
Without a doubt, the Backrooms was fertile ground to, make a lot of YouTube kids content. A lot of those creators jumped on it for good reason. It's kind of just a sandbox to throw wacky characters into.
But once something online gets popular with children, it sort of gets stuck in this box of just being solely kids content. Low effort content from slop, similar to Garden of Banban, Poppy Playtime, and The Amazing Digital Circus. The shift towards kids-focused content caused fans to claim that the Backrooms were less scary or dead, but others would claim that the Backrooms died way before the kids' content. You see, the concept of the Backrooms is very simple and leaves a lot up for fans' interpretation, which isn't bad, but the problem with a lot of fan-driven content is that everybody's gonna have a different interpretation, and there's no real canonization for it, and this would cause the community to split up into different fandoms for each interpretation. You have people who are fans of Kane Pixels series, the ever-expanding Backrooms lore, No Escape, the true Backrooms, and so on and so forth, and you can probably start to see the problem here. The Backrooms has too much content, and can become very confusing for people, especially when ideas tend to overlap. It's very similar to what happened with the SCP Foundation, another community-driven horror project that just became flooded with content to the point where anything just became an SCP, leading it to become oversaturated and lose its charm, with the Backrooms suffering a very similar fate. It's been a little over 6 years since the Backrooms image was posted on the 4chan thread, and 3 years since Kane Pixels' initial video, and there's still a question that people want an answer to: what killed the Backrooms? Over the years, people have tried to answer this, pointing at the influx of content, the shift towards a younger audience, Kane Pixels for getting the Backrooms popular in the first place, or the fact that people simply added on to the original image. What I think really killed the Backrooms, or at least made them less favorable, was the fact that they became way too complex. It's kinda like the anime series Fate or the MCU, where there's a bunch of content you can choose from, but it feels like you have to do homework in order to fully get into it. Which is great for some people, but for a general audience, not so much. Not to mention, people are just gonna hate anything that's popular, especially if it's something deemed as low effort like kids content. I also think people just got sick of seeing it, as it had been the most dominant piece of horror online for the past 3 years. So I can definitely see people just getting tired of seeing it. And even then, I don't think the Backrooms is dead. There's still new content being made about it. I mean, you're literally watching a piece of Backrooms content right now. And there's definitely still some interest in it, with new videos and games being produced, and even an A24 movie based off Kane Pixels series set to release in 2026. The Backrooms are definitely an interesting piece of horror media. It's very reminiscent of the early internet, with creepypastas and early analog horror series, where you weren't really sure if they were real or not, which is why I think it resonated with a lot of people in the first place, not to mention it's just a really cool concept. And regardless of which version of the Backrooms you decide to follow, the impact and influence it's had on the internet and online horror media is something that cannot be overstated. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll be doing more content like this in the future, so if that interests you, maybe consider subscribing. Anyways, I'll see you all in the next video.